Hey everybody, this is Lisa Baudouin. Welcome back to Lisa's chat room. Today is March 2nd, 2025. I've posted a couple of videos talking about the health management playbook, and we're just moving along in some of the theory on it, the prep and planning when it comes to creating this binder here. And also to just setting up the environment to create a very good health management in your home, because technically we're going to be taking our homes and making it into almost a health clinic in a way. Especially when I talk about the soap, you'll understand that more. But today in this video, what I want to do is hone in on more of the prep and planning towards that. And I've talked a little bit about what I call the invaders and what I call the defenders. I've already talked about that a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit more. But also too, I'm talking about the prep and planning right here. But before I begin, I have to disclose to you that I am not an expert in anything. So anything I share with you, if you try it, use it, or buy it, you do so at your own risk and peril. Also too, I'm not affiliated, endorsed, or reimbursed by any company or product that I talk about in my videos. And then finally, if you get something from this video, please give it a like, subscribe, share with friends and family, and drop a comment below, because I do vet and read every single comment. And click that notification bell so that you see future videos as they come out. All right, so we're talking about the HMP binder and setting up the binder, and I've gone through it a couple times, so I've already shown you some of the platters in there, which right now the platter, the cluster, the category we're working on is prep and planning. And so we've talked a little bit about understanding that we have invaders and we have defenders in our lives. The defenders are basically the food groups that help protect us, help create good cell growth and cell maintenance and whatnot. And I've touched base on them already. I've touched base on the invaders, as far as we've got the biological invaders, the viruses, the bacteria, the prions, the fungus, the parasites, and then we also have non-biological. And usually these are the ones we hone in on when it comes to biological. There might be more, I don't know, but at least in my medical career, that's what I've researched. Now, the non-biological ones, these are the ones that I've kind of parsed out into VOCs, heavy metals, and plastics. So I want to get into this again a little bit more. And I did talk about, cleaning your home and getting rid of some of those VOCs and heavy metals as well. And then also, too, we're working through the kitchen and looking at plastics, but we want to look at these things too, especially the heavy metals or any kind of chemicals that we have that are going on here, which maybe that's what I need to do, is have one more with just chemicals here. So that's what I'll do. Chemicals. Oops, 4 chemicals. All right, just any kind of toxic chemical. And when I do any kind of buying, the question I ask myself is this product good for the environment overall? Okay, that's really what you want to ask yourself. They can do all kinds of testings, and I really don't care anymore about the test. It says it's safe, use the limited amount. Well, wait a minute. If it's not safe for the environment, then it shouldn't be safe for me. And that's how I look at it. And so, we are basically reductionists is what we're doing. We're reducing the chemical impact and exposure in our home while we are optimizing our health so that we can fight these type of biological issues. But the problem is some of these things are very tough to get out of the body, and plastics are one of them. All right, plastics, they're still working on, and as far as I've seen in my research, they don't know how to get it out of us. So this is why this is the first invader that we want to get out of our homes and try to not use, because we apparently there are some, it's very controversial, but most of it says we can't reduce this plastic out of us, because once we get it in our bodies just doesn't know what to do with it. Where when something else comes in our bodies, our immunity system takes place, and so does some protective measures in using the adipose cell to store toxins. Yes, so we've got that going, but the body says, well, I don't know what the hell this is, so I don't know how to break it down. So it can break down certain ones as far as what I've read, but some it can't. So what's the whole deal there? Well, then what we should do is we should reduce that impact within our homes, within our environments. And so I've talked a little bit about, cleaning up the plastics and decluttering, getting those plastics out. And this is where I'm so far. Here I'm working on my measurement containers, because I do have plastic still, one of the things that I use a lot are these syringes. That's right. And what are they? They're plastic. So I'm going to be buying glass syringes because they are really nice and handy when you're using a digital scale. It is a pain because it's really hard to get that ingredient perfect, especially the liquids for me. I have a heck of a time. Now with the dry foods, of course, you can use a spoon to get, put it in and out, but liquids is a pain. So this is great to use, but it's plastic, okay? So got to get rid of that and get a glass syringe, right? So again, we're just looking at the different concepts, and here I'm just chugging along trying to get rid of this stuff, and I've just made mention. So now what I'll do is I'll hone in on that this week. And then like storage things, I'm making sure that I'm using all glass dishes. And here I'm evaluating my cleaners, okay? So in the kitchen, of course, we're looking at the dish soap. Now, I've talked about this before, where you see these nice cute little commercials with these ducks, and they're watching people wash the dishes in really soapy water. Well, the fact of the matter, the reality of the matter is ducks can't survive in soapy water. Nobody can. We can't eat soapy water. If you've ever accidentally had soap in your dish and you didn't get it off and you drank something out of it, you get sicker than a dog. So minimizing that impact, that's where we use a lot of chemicals, is in the dish soap. So making sure you use a pump, and then I've also showed you how to use a straw. I think that's very important. And if you're using a bigger container, you can use some straws and just rig it up so that you use those straws all the time, because what that does is it helps you to control the amount of dish soap that you're using. It's very important to our children that we try to focus on this information. And again, I think I've talked about Carl Sagan. He talks about the environment and the impact of the greenhouse gases and whatnot. So I'll put the links in the description below once I get these videos edited and cleaned up. So, but point is I make them sometimes as I go and post them, and sometimes I make them and I clean them up before I post them. Depends. But anyway, point is, getting back to here, making sure you're reducing on things and trying to limit the impact, not just on the environment, but the environment's really important, but on yourself. So if anything is impactful to the environment, well, then try not to buy it, or at least reduce. That's what we're calling it, reductionists, reducing that impact on ourselves and the environment. So dish soap, things like that, you're going to think about and say, okay, moving forward, I'm making this plan. I'm going to calculate this. And the one thing I wanted to mention, which I don't know if I have, is when I was washing my pots and pans over here, I have this black. And it was like, where is this black coming from? I mean, it was all black on the bottom of these pans. And I was like, where is it coming from? Well, my stovetops are clean. So the only reason that I can think of, and it's a theory, an opinion, but maybe the soap residue is actually staying on the pan and it's getting heated up and it's burning it. So that's really very questionable to me. I get concerned about that. So what I do is I make sure when I'm using my rubber gloves, this is what I use, and I don't buy the ones that have the cloth inside, okay, because that cloth actually has chemicals in it that I'm allergic to. So I would just recommend that you use just regular normal rubber gloves to protect your hands. Why? Because you have an integumentary system, your skin, and you don't want that getting into your skin. So I do use my gloves, and then when I rinse off my dishes, what I do is I just make sure when I'm rinsing, I'm really, rubbing it almost and getting it off and making sure. But I also use very little dish soap now too, all right? So I wanted to touch base on that. And I'm also going to be talking about my pots and pans, because another concern is Teflon. Absolutely. So that's another subject that I'll talk about another day. But again, see, I'm honing in. That's what subjective focused mindset is all about. Right? Now, going back here, what I want to talk about next is I want to talk about hygiene. So a lot of people would think that soaps and cleaners are the first thing that you should think about when it comes to hygiene, as far as questioning chemical content and whatnot. To me, it's the toothpaste. And a while back, now quite a while ago, I had made my kids this. It was a toothbrush holder, and it was actually a piece of wood that ran down like this. And then it had little cups, tall cups like this, going like this, so that they could hold their toothpaste like that. And there's a reason for it. First of all, to keep these separated. Secondly, I believe every person should have their own toothpaste. I mean, think about it. If you are spreading colds, where do you think one of the places that you could be spreading it is coming from? Yeah. So making sure that you separate your toothbrushes, just put them in a tall glass jar, whatever, and then get toothpaste for each person. Now, I use an organic toothpaste, and I use it very sparingly. So to me, what you should do is personally, you make sure that your toothbrush is cleaned out pretty well before you use it. And then after you use it, you make sure your toothbrush is really cleaned out very well, right? Get it? In the medical field, you learn how to wash your hands. And I've already taught my granddaughter how to do that. It's basically, I think it was a 2-minute wash or a 3-minute wash where you actually wash your hands really, really well. And I'm going to show you that and in a minute. But what I'm getting at is, do we rinse our teeth off like we rinse our hands off? And that's what I think you have to really make sure you do, is make sure you rinse that stuff out of your mouth. And also to investigate. Just do what I call the scoping research. Just check your toothpaste ingredients and see what's in it. Check out maybe 2 chemicals in there and just look at it and find out a little bit about what you're putting in your mouth. Because we trust people to protect us, but we can't do that anymore because there are a lot of people out there that they don't care. They're just out to make a buck. So I would personally check to see what kind of toothpaste you're using. Turn it around, take a look at those chemicals, and see if you can find something that's less impactful on you and the environment. Again, and then also too, make sure you rinse your mouth out really good and teach your kids to do that. Right. The next thing is soaps and cleaners. Well, again, turn those products around and look at the chemicals in those products. And you're going to be surprised when you look some of them up. You're going to say, holy cats. So you want to use something that is less impactful, more organic, or at least use less of it if you can. Just use a little bit less if you can each time, because that's really going to make a difference in the impact. Because what are we talking about here? We're talking about the integumentary system. Things are coming into your skin, and you don't even realize things are coming into your skin, but that's what's happening. And for me, when it comes to the chemical awareness, well, I'm allergic to formaldehyde and mold. I'm also allergic to dimethicone, which I believe is what they're putting in the boxes now. I cannot be around a shipping box at all. And the weird thing is I do have other shipping boxes from in the past, and I'm perfectly fine. So something is going on, and I don't know what it is, and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist or paranoid, but there is something really bad in some of these products that we're buying, and we just have to be a little mindful and don't buy them, for one. And then also, two, contact your local government, your federal government, write letters and say, hey, you know what? I've heard this girl on the internet, she's talking about this, and I agree with her, and we need to get this crap out of our stuff. Contact the EPA, write them a letter and say, hey, we need to make sure that these types of chemicals, this crap is not coming into our country, because really a lot of this stuff is coming from other countries. And I'm sorry, but the truth is the American standard is higher. That's my opinion. And sorry, that's my opinion. Too bad if you don't like it. But anyway, point is, getting back to the hygiene. Make sure that you are looking at this information. Make sure that you are thinking about it. And as a caveat to the bathroom, I get laughed at because I have a little sign in my bathroom that says, please shut the toilet lid. And the thing about it is, I had watched a show called Bones, and it was a show, and actually I really liked her. She was a forensic, she was into bones, and she was, I'm sure you've heard that show before, and I really like the actors in it, but she once said that. She said, and so I looked it up, and sure enough, you want to shut the toilet lid at all times, because when you flush the toilet, it does have excrement coming up into the air. So shut the dang toilet, okay? Just shut the toilet, and then you won't have that problem. And I actually have a little picture, this picture right here, okay? It says, do you know if you leave the toilet seat lid up when you flush it, it sprays excrement up into the air. So please shut the toilet lid before you flush. And you know who that's for mostly? Me, because I'll forget. So I just make sure I leave that little sign here. And I think that's a really great idea in order to try to reduce some of the, and infectious stuff that's going on. And you don't want stuff coming up into your air. You don't want to be breathing it, right? So just a little, I don't know, that's my opinion. And the other thing I have in my bathroom while I'm here is I do have paper towel. I have to use a certain paper towel, Great Value, from Walmart. It's the only one that doesn't have whatever it is that I'm sensitive to. So I have to use that, and I'm praying to never change it. And so I have it here, and then I have this little sign that says, dry your hands with paper towel. Okay, so that if I have guests, that's what I want them to do. Now, when the grandkids are over, I actually give them their own little towel, and I hang up my little hand towel somewhere else because they're sick all the time. So I make sure that I'm using something separate. Now, does it work? Does it make it where I don't get sick? Usually not. But that's what I do when I have guests, okay? And I'm mindful, if I'm having a party and I have a bunch of people over, I'm definitely going to wash that towel after I'm done having that party, all right? Things like that. The other thing is this little brush. I use this brush at least once a day to clean off my hands, clean off my nails, because your nails get long and you get stuff under your nails. So cleaning out that is important. And then the other thing is your towels. I do have certain towels. And while I'm in here, I'm just going to show you my bathroom because I really actually like it. Even though it's not perfect, it's definitely different. And one nice thing about it is this right here. This is just a furring strip going around. And then I've got my little hangers up here. And I took my stuff out because I really, at this point, don't want to do product reviews on my things because some of the things I use are not the greatest, but I'm not allergic to them. So I'm trying to find better items, better products. But the point is you should look for better products for yourself. But here I've got these nice little hangers, and man, they really do help out. And then when you have a little bathroom, if you put a hanger in the back like that, that's where you can hang your towels, because really my shower would never hit that, especially as short as I am. It would never hit the towels. So I just wanted to mention that. And then, just making sure that your bathroom stays clean. And I did this myself. This is actually peel and stick and painted and then polyed. And yeah, poly, what is poly? It is bad, polyurethane. It's bad to breathe in. I had everything open, the windows open. I wore a mask, and then I made sure to air this out. And one of the things I really hate is the shower curtain. I don't like shower curtains. I like the old-fashioned shower, the glass ones where they go back and forth because they're easier to clean. For one thing, this is just plastic. And second, they collect mold. They're mold collectors, so you have to either change them out or keep them clean, and one way or the other, they're just not, to me, very good. So making sure, that's one thing I wanted to do, was get a shower stall in here, but I'm probably moving. Yep, I'm gonna tell you that right now. So that's what I'm probably doing. But anyway, getting back into the kitchen, I just wanted to finish up and talk a little bit more about looking at this hygiene and thinking about this as far as make a plan. And see how I've got this on paper? This is part of that subjective focused mindset. I am honing in and I am thinking about things as I need to, and then I let it go, and then I'll come back to it and let it go. Now, the one last thing I want to talk about before we go any further else is, far as cleaners, the wash, your laundry soap. Right? I've got plenty of videos out there about my chemical sensitivities, how I'm allergic to formaldehyde, dimethicone, EDTA, and actually I have a database that tracks. I'll put stuff in there, and if I don't have a reaction, I put it in there because that's telling me that there's ingredients in there that I can tolerate. It's the needle in the haystack type of thinking. What am my problem? And I think I already know my problem, which I will talk about eventually, but just that awareness, what has happened is it's caused me to see these chemicals and what they're doing to myself, the environment, the family, everybody, children, animals, birds. That's why reducing any kind of laundry detergent you have is so important. Now, for me, most of the stuff I use washing soda. I do not take and bake my baking soda, by the way, because I did that experiment, and by the time I baked it down, it was, took so long. And yes, washing soda is a little bit more. It's about $1 more. Whippy-doo. I would rather spend the $1. And plus, when you burn off baking soda, when you're cooking it, you are actually burning off carbon dioxide. So, which is very interesting because that's the same thing that burns when you burn fat. So, but point is I just use the washing soda, the sodium carbonate, not the baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate. I use washing soda. That's very, very strong. And actually, I will use a little bit of baking soda in with it because that's kind of a softener. And then another thought I had for people that want scents, you could always add a little bit of scented Epsom salts. Not too much, just a little bit to give your clothes some scents. Now, that's still chemical, but I think it's a little cleaner than some of the stuff that they're putting in the laundry detergent. And you have to do your homework. I don't know. It's totally up to you. I don't do that. I try to live reduction wise, and then I use the distilled vinegar in the spritz bottle, and I spritz the clothes a little bit when I dry them. When I'm doing the new clothes, I put a video out there about how I use a separate wash machine and how I suggest that you at least get a wash machine like mine, one of those mini ones, to do brand new clothing, or get a used wash machine for your brand new clothing and treat your brand new clothing separately. And then eventually, once they're cleaned out, put them in with your normal everyday clothes. So I wanted to mention that about the wash. And here, it's all really, washing your clothes is basically about hygiene, correct? So putting that in this slot here about hygiene, the prep and planning, and looking at your environment, your life, your bathrooms and whatnot, and the way you do things, just consider some of these things and maybe do one thing at a time. And that's really what I do, because there's no way I could completely be 100%, completely ergonomically clean unless I went off the grid and lived in a cabin in the woods with, no water, with a well, no sewage, no nothing. So, and in future videos, I will be talking about the water too, and I will actually be sharing some different types of water filtration systems that I've tried. So make sure you click that notification button. But anyway, this is it for this video today. Hopefully I've given you a lot of information, and hopefully it's something you can consider for yourself. All right, and then with that, that's the end of this video. So please make sure you stay safe and stay healthy, and I hope to see you again back here in Lisa's chat room.